is about 800 or 80,000 to $100,000. They review
municipality can't sustain their utility, in this case, let's say electric, um, if they're not making money and they're losing money year after year, they have to sell that to one of the investor owns. That municipality will make millions. Fort Wayne did it. To be that's an example. Obviously, they're much larger, but they may make a community our size. You can make maybe 25, 35 million selling that utility. But then every one of us in this room are going to pay rates that are twice as much, and I don't want that. I don't want to see that for our ratepayers and our customers. Because again, every decision we make affects not only you all in this room, but it affects us. And I know I don't want my bill to double. We had that issue that we found when this administration come in. We fixed it. We had it on bills. Some people may not have seen that, but um, it's one thing that we need to just ensure that we sustain. And so working with those consultants and our utility council, we started this process in July of 2024. That's how long it takes to get through a rate study. And I was actually pleased because on Monday afternoon, late before I was leaving the office, we received a new set of rates, which were um, very positive. The other ones weren't terrible. They were a little bit higher. So when I got the reduced increase that they were proposing, I was actually pleased. Um, but and this rate includes your meter fees as well and your taxes. So it's your bill as a whole if you've used 750 kilowatts, which every home's different on usage. Energy is your home energy efficient? Your furnace is a 1999. I know we had that, and there's a lot of factors that determine your consumption. But at the end of the day, um, the average homeowner is about 750. All electric may be a little higher in the winter because it's all electric. They don't have a gas bill, um, but we'll remain one of the lowest in the state still. Currently, we're 36% lower than AEP on certain things, 50% lower than NIPSCO. And these are based on the rates that I had in the small graph, not the graph with like 15 or 20. Those seem to be on the higher end. I used the lower end of their scale just for comparison because it really shows that it's still significantly cheaper. But with the 9% increase, which is that $7.50, we'd still be 31% lower than NIPSCO and 45%, or excuse me, 31% lower than I&M AP, 45% lower than NIPSCO, and we'll still remain one of the lowest in the state of Indiana, just behind Frankfurt slightly, not much. One of the things that we noticed is, if you don't evaluate rates every 3 to 5 years, 3 to 4 years, when you go to do that 10 years down the road, costs have gone up, you're going to see a significant increase. So our goal is to evaluate rates like we're doing with our water and sewer now. So if we do have to raise them, they're very minuscule versus something that's going to rate shock. Because if your bill goes up 15, 20 bucks and you look back the previous month and your usage was the same, you're going to be shocked. We need to stay away from that, stay clear of that. And this is the same way a lot of the other municipalities that have their own utilities do that to prevent those large swings. So that's such a small increase that you don't even really notice. We still put it out there. It still goes through the process. There's still public hearings. It's publicized in the paper. But our goal is to get to where if we do have to do these increases at times due to costs that go up, that our customers don't really even notice. Auburn Electric, and I can only speak to my 2 years of this administration, but they, along with every other department across the board, and city council, and myself, the clerk, all of us as a team, we've done a great job of reducing those unnecessary costs, and so have they. One thing, and I don't know how many people go around the downtown a lot, but when we came in January of 24, we had wires running across Cedar Street Was there any going across Maine there? Or was it Cedar mainly? Okay, but Cedar, between Maine and Jackson, 9th and 8th, it was a rat's nest. I mean, there was wires everywhere. They went through and cleaned that up. All that's underground. Again, one, less maintenance, a little bit more upfront cost. Two, provides more reliability when your utilities are underground because there's less chance of getting struck, a tree falling on a pole or a wire. Um, their goal is to always just to continue to provide safe, reliable power, just like our other utilities provide reliable service. Um, Outage time, our crews have to be en route within 30 minutes. So they have a 30 minutes response time. A minor outage, their average over the last year was 47 minutes. That includes the 30 minutes. Anything major, about an hour and a half. So, if you have a tree that falls on a 3-phase, it's going to take you a little while to get that back up and running. But we had one last year during a storm. I went out with them. I'd say the majority of the customers that were affected were back up within hour and a half. A couple customers that took about 4 hours because they were directly affected by that one line. So we've got about 30 minutes. Open it up for questions. We've got pretty much everybody here that can answer them. So any questions? Yes. For the so that is, and I hate this phrase because that's a good point. It's been structured that way. I don't know how long. Lori, you're not sure. Definitely something.
Some of the rate schedules we do a budget, but it's something we can definitely look into if it helps the customer base.
It's usually all electric that we do budgets.
Right.
But she's saying if they have gas, we don't allow budgets.
We don't, but we could look into that, right, Lori? I don't see why we could not. Yeah. That's something through the utility office. Okay.
Yeah, I completely understand. My stepmother lives back in some senior villas, right? Limited income. I don't have an answer for that, but we've got the people in this room that just have heard that question, and I think it's going to spark a conversation.
Right.
I think it's a good vital point. Matter of fact, we talked about something similar to like that the other day. We jot that down, please.
And who takes care of the trees around the lines?
So we do, Auburn Electric. So if they see them, they'll take care of them. If a homeowner notices that there's branches or limbs in those lines, call the electric department. They will come out. They're not gonna take that chance of those limbs coming down, taking out service. So, but we have 2 tree crews. We have electric and then our street that maintains the right of ways. They also sometimes work together if they got large jobs, but we do that ourselves. We do a lot in house, which ultimately, as a utility, saves the cost for being transferred because that's how the process works.
Now it has to be on that side of the sidewalk from the road, right?
Between the sidewalk and the street is typically the right of way. There may be a few areas that it extends past the sidewalk into the yard, but not many. But if you ever wonder, all you got to do is call our building and planning department. Even the utility can address that. They can pull up the maps and let you know for sure. And if it's still questionable, they'll come out and look.
A garbage truck take a line down and pull my line off of the house, my siding, and they wanted to fight who called this and that. And I don't care as long as you guys take it. So, that's what I was worried about because some of these trees are overgrown. They need to be trimmed up.
Yeah.
They keep 7th Street done real good.
Mm-hmm.
But these side streets, like a dead end, we're on a dead end, they don't keep them trimmed up.
Yeah, they try. I don't know the number of trees we have in the city, but it's a lot. But yeah, please, if you see that, let us know. I can assure you somebody will come out, and if it needs to be done, they'll take care of it for you. Because yeah, we want to eliminate those issues.
Does the city of Auburn regulate NIPSCO? Because they have doubled, and they ran that through RURC. I've been in contact with our reps that I, work with them.
Mhm.
And it's just a big shim sham thing that's our governor's.
Yeah,
allowed
we
to
don't
approve.
have any control. I do know the IRC, they had that investigative hearing, I believe, just a week ago.
Which is a
I'm
big
not
shim sham because the people that were appointed on RURC last May were reps, and they appointed that bill.
Yeah.
And they agreed and put it in place, and then once the bill passed and governor signed it in, then they left their rep, and then the governor appointed them onto the IRC board.
Yeah, I can't
So
speak
they're
on behalf.
investigating themselves.
I can't speak on behalf of that, and I apologize, but I understand because I'm affected. I've got NIPSCO too.
I mean, the hearing
Hopefully we
charge.
get some answers. That's all I can say.
Well, I just keep bugging them, and I'm a Republican, and I'm like, look, guys, I know you know me, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I'm getting back that, there's a lot of utility companies that are lobbying in Indianapolis, and the constituents need to call their reps because they're not hearing from you, so they're gonna rate hike, and they can always pass a bill, and they can always recall it. So, okay, so this is more electric. I'm definitely on board that.
Yeah,
we
yeah,
opt
with
out of
with
IURC.
us,
You
yeah,
help
with
us make our
us,
point, though.
it is. And like I said, I wish I could answer that, but unfortunately I can't. And
There's
I've
just no
seen it as
way.
well. So,
Yeah, them investigating, they're just investigating themselves. You guys can look it up. They were appointed onto the board right after they co-sponsored the bill, wrote it, and then passed it into law. And then what it basically does is allow the utilities companies to rate hike us, for profit, and yeah, and then we get screwed over. And also in the bill, if you read it, it covers when they develop, they offset the costs onto us. So Joe Blow down the street is developing something, utility company can offset that cost onto us, and that's what we're paying for.
That was my concern too.
well, I
So
can assure you that.
I'm all for opting out of IURC.
Yeah, and I can assure you with the city, it does not work that way. With that, the cost is not passed on to the ratepayer when we're working with the developer. There's other options that we can assist with, but it's not passed on to the ratepayer.
Correct.
So I can tell you that one.
My next question is how regenerating utilities. So it was news to me that this is nonprofit, which I'm pleased because I grew up in Fort Wayne.
So did I.
And I've been here for like 20 years now because my ancestors were pioneering families of this county and Sudan. They were like living in log cabins. So I wanted a small town, and I'm happy to hear that this is nonprofit and you're pushing to pull out of IURC.
It's about saving money and doing what's best.
So do we utilize solar?
So we do not have, the city does not have any solar generation that we use, no.
Okay. We need to
For a
look into
long
that.
time, we were not able to do that. We do have a small option. It's not a large generation, but we do have that option that we can look at in the future that we've discussed.
I wrote down on the board, on the civilian side, I'm a degreed scientist. On the military side, I did WMD. So I'm just a big old nerd, and I have degrees to back it up and publications. And
Sure.
I want to get on board to help that because we don't have to use farmland for wind turbine. That's,
Yeah.
solar can be put on top of buildings.
We have customers that utilize that.
So
use it on roofing.
we do have net metering options.
Yeah,
There's
for
a-
businesses and
So
even
we need to
residential.
look into that.
But
It can really maintain the lower cost of the sun.
yeah, for the last 18 years though, we did not have that option at all. It
Yeah.
wasn't allowed.
Yeah, I know.
for us, but
Yeah.
we do have the ability to do a small if we choose. So it's basically weighing the risk versus reward on it because it's such a small size, but it could be beneficial.
I
So
think we need to utilize.
yeah,
It's a natural resource. Sun ain't going away.
we are all about saving money where we can, cut unnecessary costs, and that would be one if it were to work out. But that option recently just became available to us in the last couple months, to be truthful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish it would have been around 10 years
we
ago.
could be putting it on buildings, is what I'm saying,
Mhm.
on type of lights. There's a lot of new research on solar that you're not taking away the farmland. I'm anti taking away farmland.
Sure. Yeah, we
And
don't
the
deal with it.
parking lots, there's 100,000 or 1,000,000 miles in between every divided highway. Put them there.
Yeah.
You don't need to take farmland.
Yeah, we don't deal with any of those large scales ones,
Yeah.
the large scale projects like that in the city, really. We have one south of Auburn.
Yeah, I saw it.
There's a small one within the city,
I saw it.
but it's a business as
Yeah,
well.
I saw it, and we're talking about,
So,
yeah, and it utilized it. You really don't need it.
yeah. Other questions? It was an easy crowd.
Is your primary goal basically, obviously, all
Mhm.
is it to take that money and put it back into
It's
So-
to keep the rates lower.
So that's not how that process would work. That's an expense that we don't have that we're not passing back on to the ratepayer. So that money doesn't go back to the utility. It's money that we spend that we collect back from us as ratepayers. It's factored into the tracker mechanism, or even your base rate when you reestablish your base rates. So it's to minimize and keep that down versus increasing it even more.
their rates that
Who's that?
the IUR?
So
That's their consultants. It's consultant fees. So we pay for a consultant and they pay for a consultant, but we have to pay we have to cover their costs. So whoever they hire to do it, and they analyze what our consultants are bringing forth to verify that we're not price gouging or whatnot. It's the IURC is there to supposed to keep the investor owns in check, but like she had mentioned, they've got lobbyists, they've got money. It's down at the state house where if you bring it to the local level, you won't have that. We don't have these large customer, so it's just ultimately it saves ratepayers a lower cost on your rates. So we don't have to spend it, we don't have to pass it on to you.
and everyone, anytime we do a rate adjustment, it's publicized in the paper. We have to post it. We have the public hearings that we put out. They have 2 readings for council. Council's meets first and third Tuesday of the month at 6 p.m. So one of the things that we're looking at doing is April 21st is presenting council with an opt-out ordinance, and then alongside that, propose the rates simultaneous to take effect upon successful opt-out of the IRC. So like the rate itself, we wouldn't anticipate that doing anything until October of this year. The opt-out process takes several months because there's a reading in April, and then within 7 to 10 days, every ratepayer will get a notice in the mail, one that states that the public hearing is going to be on June 2nd at 6 p.m. in city council chambers. And we have to send that out. So there's about a 45-day gap in between readings where typically there's 2 weeks. But we have to have that letter in hand, in the ratepayer's hands for 30 days. So in June, we're looking at the second reading of the opt-out, the public hearing, and then second reading on the rates too, to keep them, to run them coincide. From there, there's a 60-day process that runs from the 1st of June to the 1st of August. And and that is a petition process. If somebody wants to oppose it, they can do that. Not really sure why, because at the end of the day, we're all going to save hopefully a significant amount of money. And after the first part of August, then what we do, if everything goes as planned, then we file with the IRC for the opt-out. Should take about 30 to 45 days, and then the new rates would begin in October. But as the one slide showed, council, typically you'll have 1 month of council. So we got 7 council members, 2 meetings. It's like $3,560. That's a huge savings. And at the end of the day, we still have to follow the statutory requirements, which our attorneys are going to make sure we do, because I sure the hell don't want to find out what the repercussions are. And we've got some great teams out there that have helped us, that we brought in this administration. So things have been going great with them. It's a lengthy process. I would have never guessed this process would have taken a year and 8 months to get through, but it did. And then literally last minute on Monday, we just kept plugging away at it, and we were able to propose even lower rates than what we anticipated, which was a positive thing. So
Basically, the city is absorbing these costs, not utility,
well,
not the consumer, not
the consumer, so in the IRC, let's say if it was $500,000, which we've seen, that cost is absorbed by the utility and then factored in and passed on to every one of us in this room that pay rates. So that's money that we're not, that's operational costs that we're eliminating. So yeah, anything that goes through electric, water, sewer passes back on to every one of us in this room when we do our cost of service studies, which our goal is to do them more frequent, to one, provide stability, and to eliminate those large swings. Because I can tell you, we did, this administration had to do a water rate increase in January of 2025. That was the second one in 26 years.
But we had to get out of the IRC.
We did, yeah. The last one was done in 2018, I believe. But before that, it was 1999. So you can't wait that long. One, it's cheaper for us to evaluate it every 3 to 4 years, which is what like a lot of other municipalities do. And that's when I came into office, I've met with a lot of different mayors that had utilities, because I had a lot to learn. I mean, this guy's forgotten more about electric than I'll ever know. But one thing I've learned from these other communities is that they instilled in me was pay attention to your rates. Don't let it go for 10 years. Don't let it go for, that first one was almost 20 years before they implemented rates. And I don't like paying rates either. But I can tell you, I like having Auburn Electric because I don't want to pay twice as much for my utilities. And because I would assure you, if we have any other investor-owned utility that provided power to us, you think little old Auburn's going to be the main priority on a big outage? I mean, the last one, and this is nothing negative towards them, but they got large coverage areas. There was communities in Fort Wayne that were out of power for, I think, like 2 days, and that's the second largest city in the state of Indiana. I can't imagine how long we'd have to wait just because they got such a large area to cover. So I think we're very fortunate. And I would say that whether I'm standing here or sitting there with you, because we see it, and that's why I thought it was important to put a lot of information in this so we could show it to the ratepayers. Because if we didn't have to do it, we wouldn't do it. But we don't want to face the alternative either, right? So, other questions?
I got two. Number one, you said you have a consultant and the IURC has a consultant. Over history, have they ever differed a lot, in the recommendations? And second, by weaving them, what benefits are we losing, if any?
I don't really think we're losing any benefits. I can't answer so I've not been through this process because we're going through it now, so I can't answer the question in regards to have their consultants and their legal team versus ours had different opinions. I don't know.
Every case is different, but yes, they often disagree, and it just ends up costing more money. The rest of that process, they agree a lot, but sometimes they do not. And it's a case by case situation, so it's not really, I can't tell you it was for this reason or that, it just depends.
It just sounds like having there's a quality control check. That
But
if
it's
you're doing
mainly-
it yourself, you don't have that check.
It's mainly meant for the ones that are trying to make a profit, NIPSCO and the others, not the city. Because you have repercussions against the elected officials, you can vote us out in 4 years.
Well, but
Or you can't do that for NIPSCO.
there's safety barriers with us because we're a municipality. So we have to follow Indiana State Code, number one, and we get audited, number two. So when you go to the IURC, you're paying for that all over again, when we already have to do that. The private companies do not have to do that. They're not regulated at all. So it's really an audit for the for-profit companies. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I'm not against it, I just
Yeah.
wanna.
Yeah.
That's fair.
It's a great
look at all
question.
sides.
Yeah.
Great question.
Any other questions?
Statement again, it's just bureaucratic, yes, it's just going through another channel to inflate and offset more of their costs, and they're forcing to disagree because they're gonna justify their income, their salary.
Well, I understand that.
I mean, it's just, it's great. I mean, I love living in Auburn.
Well, I do too.
And I love that y'all are pursuing opting out of our IURC, because they're not good. Contact your reps, they're not good. Why
Yeah,
are you doing
'cause
this?
one of the things I talked about a petition process, and I'll always be honest, even whether it's an answer I know you're going to like or not, but like in this case, the petition process, if somebody were to obtain enough signatures on a petition to oppose this, there's two options the city has. One, we can repeal it, repeal everything and wait for who knows how long to try it again to save money. Two, we can let it flow through and go on a referendum in this November's ballot. Our goal is hopefully there's no opposition because it makes complete sense, and that's why I was hoping we'd fill this room twice tonight. Unfortunately, we had maybe 20 in the first, and I thank you all for coming out, even though there's 7 of you. But and some of the issue is like the ones that don't show up could be the ones that say, well, why would we want to do this? Well, this was our idea to make sure we got this information out prior. The first reading's going to be on the 21st, and so about 3 weeks. But to put it to referendum, if it were not to be voted through during the general election of this year, we'd have to go through 4 more years of this and wait, which to me doesn't make sense. I mean, I hope that everyone in this room agrees. And if you ever have any questions, concerns, don't ever hesitate to call the mayor's office, call AE. Everyone's got council reps. Their information is online. If you haven't had the app's amazing. You can find all of our contact information there, but please, a lot of what we see is, some people just may not know, and we're all about educating people on whether it's electric, water, sewer, doesn't matter. It could be the neighbor's dog. We get those calls too, but always feel free. No, you can call our office. There's never a call that comes through my office or email that we don't respond to. I invite constituents into City Hall to sit down with me personally. I mean, that's what we're here for. We're here to serve you all 7 of you. But please, never hesitate to do that. That's why we're doing this tonight before we put this in front of council in a few weeks. And if that's it, again, I appreciate you coming out, and hopefully it's not raining. The weather was not the best today. So, but again, thank you.
See ya. Thank you.